Hey, what's going on, everybody? A little chilly outside. I'm just getting off from work. Uh, but I had a notion because I was listening to this radio talk show this morning, and there's still a lot of buzz in the air about this teacher. I guess she was a substitute teacher. I don't know, classroom monitor or something like that in Kyle, Texas. It's a little bit up the road, almost right next door to from where I live. And she went ballistic on this student. When I say ballistic, she just hauled off and beat the crap out of this 16-year-old student. And the reason she did it, and they got a video that's gone viral. You probably already seen it. But the reason she did it is because the student slapped her. So, before I go any further, I gotta be politically correct. Because when I was checking out this talk show, all these people were calling in. You know, it's one of these shows that allow you to call in and give your opinion. And all these people were trying to come across as so benevolent and righteous, politically correct. And they were saying things along the line of, well, she shouldn't have overreacted. And true, I suppose it is. Can't argue with truth, right? You shouldn't overreact. And that's what basically everybody was saying about this woman. She overreacted. And I got to thinking about that, you know. Telling people that they shouldn't overreact, you know, that's a little bit, for the most part, it's being unrealistic. But before I go any further, let me be politically correct. I agree. The teacher should not have overreacted. Okay, that being said, what would you do if a child with the size and semblance of an adult, you trying to do your job, hauls off and slaps the taste out of your mouth? I mean, just come all the way back from Georgia. You know, come on, pass through Alabama, Mississippi, coming around Louisiana, kapow, landed in Texas. Just slap the taste out of your mouth. All your taste buds, they're on the ground. You can't salvage them. What would you do? Well, I tell you what you would do. You'd react. Would you go so far to beat the hell out of the girl? Well, maybe not. I don't know you. I don't know what kind of internalized trauma you have. I don't know what your psychological buttons are. But chances are great that most of you will reactively and instinctively slap back. That's reactionary. I mean, that's somewhat part of the whole survival thing, you know? Survival of the species. You know, we react in self-defense. That's kind of ingrained in our nature. But the problem is that trauma makes us overreact. That's the problem. And one thing I want to say, you know, parents, y'all need to equip y'all children with better information. One thing, tell them to not go around putting their hands on people. You can't do that. If, disobedient, whatever, I don't know. There are different actions and ideas about what being disobedient might mean. And depending on what child is being disobedient, it's all about perspective. Oh, that person's just being a child, whereas this other child is being a criminal. They could be the same age, but different races and creeds will distort perceptions, make the rules lenient on one child and more forceful on the other. But you got to tell your kids, don't go around putting your hands on people. Don't put your hands on people because the consequences can be grave. I listened to one lady was talking about how the woman shouldn't overreacted, and she went on to say, you know what? If somebody would have done that to my child, it would be over because she beat up a child, that gives me permission to go beat her up. All right, well, there you have it. She assaulted your child. Now you go beat her up. And I tell you, man, this lady, she looked pretty stout and tough. I mean, I don't know if that lady would have got her butt kicked easily. But, okay, you're saying you're going to go beat up this lady that beat up your child. Okay, I get the passion. You know, you're trying to identify with whatever parent this child, whoever this child's parent is. But you beat up this woman when? After she makes bail? I don't know because they arrested her. But you beat up this woman and now you go to jail for assault. And what becomes of your other children? So you got to think things through before you get overly reactive and overly emotional. And I tell you what, again, tell your children not to go putting their hands on people. I mean, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I mean, this lady, she snapped. Obviously, she had some kind of trauma going on. She snapped, goes into a blind rage, beat the hell out of this kid, and she caps it off by stomping on the kid's head. Now listen to this. They said that these children, on this radio talk show, that these children in that class are mentally challenged. What does that mean? Have mental challenges. I tell you what, who doesn't have mental challenges? I read another report that said the child had epilepsy. And, you know, I've actually been around people with epilepsy before. So just now, a little while ago, I decided to look up the definition. And here's what it said in the dictionary. Epilepsy, a neurological disorder marked by recurrent episodes of sensory disturbance, loss of consciousness, or convulsions associated with abnormal electrical activity in the brain. According to this definition, just like everybody's mentally challenged, everybody's epileptic. I mean, come on now. This is kind of vague. Everybody has mental challenges. Everybody has trauma. Everybody has psychological buttons. Some people are so far gone that, again, you push those buttons, they're going to, as it says in that definition, lose sensory, have a sensory episode of sensory disturbance. They're going to lose their rationality. The rational minds are going to go away, and then this monster going to come out, and who knows what will happen after that. Another thing they were talking about on this talk show about we need to get more training and do this and do that and, you know, to protect these kids. And yeah, you know, that would be the right thing to do. But who are you going to get to, you know, for these kind of jobs? I mean, the nature of the job is what attracts the nature of the person that will apply for the job. Like, you got a classroom of mentally challenged kids. Now, when I was looking at an interview of a couple of these kids, they seemed to know what they were talking about when they were describing what this woman did. Like they had some sense about them. So it seems as if mentally challenged has been translated, disobedient has been translated to mentally challenged. And I guess in a way it is. But in this day and age, people are becoming more and more mentally challenged. So many people have given up on life. They have given up on hope for a better future, better days. And they feel they ain't got nothing to lose. And they got all this hostility and trauma. And they're looking to dump it off. Don't let it be one of your children. Educate your children about the way people are in this world these days. People don't give a rat's tail about anything anymore. A lot of people, and it's getting progressively worse. The number of people who are not really caring anymore, it's growing by leaps and bounds. It really is. Educate your child. Tell them, you know what? It would behoove you at the end of the day just to follow the rules. I don't know, if you put down your cell phone or what have you, put it down and pay attention to the teacher. I mean, come on, it's not going to kill you. Educate your child. Tell them. Remember back in the day when we would, when I was a kid, they'd tell you, hey, don't go up in that attic, or don't go in this closet or that closet, or the boogeyman will get you. You know, we were kids, we bought into that. You know, our parents probably had some kind of valuable items or something of that nature, or maybe they hid the Christmas presents up in the attic or in the closet. Then they told us that to keep us from snooping around or being nosy or what have you. And so for a lot of us that worked. Don't go in the closet, the boogeyman. Hey, I tell you what, it's the same principle out in this world these days. If you don't educate your child, the boogeyman will get them, him or her. Just like what happened to this kid up in Kyle, Texas. Now, apparently, they did a background check on this woman, is what the reports were saying. They found history of somebody getting a restraining order against her, supposedly according to this talk show. Other accusations, situations of assault that eventually didn't have to go to court, that kind of thing. But she got hired. But guess what? Those are the people that are going to apply for those kind of jobs. That's just the reality of it all. That's the reality. And those kind of people, yeah, you can hold them accountable, send them to jail or do whatever. Punish them in whatever way you can. The next one will come along. The next boogeyman will come along to replace that boogeyman. And that boogeyman could be a lot worse. Interesting. These kids that were so mentally challenged, when that lady went off, what happened? They paid attention. They got up. They backed off. They had some sense about them. They had a lot of sense about them. Kind of strange, huh? When shit hit, excuse my French, when the doo-doo hits the fan, people wise up and they get sensible. Even the mentally challenged. How about that? Nevertheless, again, this isn't to defend what that woman did, because I wouldn't go off like that. I know I wouldn't, and you probably wouldn't either. But again, if something happened so quick in the heat of the moment, you'd probably at least slap that kid back. You know you would. But ultimately, it doesn't matter, because society has redistributed power into the hands of negligent people. And that's a sad reality. All the more why you should warn your children. Behave. I mean, even if you're distracted, just don't put your hands on people. Don't go around putting your hands on people. It's not gonna work out well for you. Just tell them. And it makes you wonder if this child, from what the video showed, she was ignoring the teacher and then she slapped the teacher. If she did that in the classroom, how does this child behave at home? I mean, what kind of authority does this kid have at home over and above the parent? Kind of curious about that. But anyway, I guess that's all I have to say about that. I guess in conclusion, this is an unrealistic world we live in, which is why I'm being a little bit Pollyanna right now, and I'm about to be more politically correct and say the teacher was wrong for overreacting like that. But it's just a sign of the times, and I don't care what manner of training, what manner of education you think you can give somebody to look after a whole classroom of mentally challenged people. If you don't know their mental state, then this whole thing about education and training, it won't do any good. Not at all. Trauma is what it is. And what is it? It's a demon. Trauma is a demon. And trauma, everybody has trauma to greater or lesser degrees. Everybody has the demon of trauma. And the greater the demon, the greater that presence of that demon inside of you, or whoever, the more they're going to overreact. Some people will overreact to the point of no return. And, I'm glad, in a way, that that lady stopped when she did, because I saw the video. And she could have killed the little girl. She could have killed the little girl. I mean, legally, the little girl was 1 year away from being an adult. I guess 16. But it's a good thing she came to her senses, because at that point in time, she lost her mind. As the Messiah said, they know not what they do. That goes for that student. That goes for that woman that beat the student. And both parties suffered some serious and hardcore consequences. Anyway, thank you for listening. And hopefully I was politically correct enough for you. My name is Dario Thomas. I am the author of the Spiritology books, The Power of Spiritology. It's a book on sale at Amazon.com. Get you a copy. That book can teach you how to, and I have a copy right here, I'll show it to you. It can teach you how to gradually diffuse the demon of trauma, eject it out of your system, as did the Messiah. got rid of demons. Join the Spiritology television network. Subscribe on YouTube. If you know anybody that could possibly benefit from these videos, these talks and lessons, it's kind of rare that I talk about things that go on in the daily news, but this was such a buzz I couldn't help myself. However, I typically talk about the Bible, spiritual explanations of certain scriptures and certain journeys of the different characters and happenstances with the different characters. I give the spiritual meanings of all that as it pertains to the Bible outside of the literal meaning, and other types of spiritual lessons. So subscribe the Spiritology television network. Urge somebody, a friend, acquaintance, or family member to subscribe. They won't be sorry. Thank you for listening, and God bless.